Well,
Hey toy fans, Aaron here. I thought we'd take a look at today the Star Wars Rebels ATDP vehicle. This was released back in October of 2014, so let's head to that table and check this one out. And a quick look at the packaging. This is, of course, the Rebels line. That got you the Stormtrooper in the upper left corner, and in the upper right corner, the Star Wars Rebel logo. Of course, you got a nice look at the toy that you're getting on the front and center of the packaging here, with a little bit of Lothal in the background. And now one thing to note with this is that there were two releases for this particular vehicle, and actually even, the vehicles in this line got two releases. You had your standard release here where it was just the vehicle, and real quick we'll slide in, you got another release where it came with an exclusive figure, and in this case that was the ATDP driver figure. And this version was the Target exclusive where you got the pack-in figures. Added like only a couple bucks to the price as I recall, but it was pretty hard to find these. Otherwise, though, the only difference with this packaging, aside from that window to see the figure, is this was also a multi-language packaging, whereas the standard release will flip back over to that, which was not your multi-language. For the purposes of this review, since the Target exclusive version, that pack-in figure was just a re-release of what was already released on a single card, just going to focus on this single vehicle release. As far as the sides of the packaging, nothing special there, just a big Stormtrooper helmet with the Star Wars logo and the name of the vehicle. Same for the other side. The top of the packaging does get you a little image of what you're getting in the packaging. Oddly, on the bottom side is where you're going to see the other vehicles that were sold separately at the time. And then on the back side of the packaging, of course, you got your Rebels logo, the ATDP title, with a very brief description about the vehicle, with a couple call-outs calling out some features about the firing missile launcher, and then also some images on the right side showing you that you can fit a figure on the inside of the cockpit and that the legs do pivot. Now you do have some assembling to do out of the box. You got to put the legs on. You get these little clamps here that hold the legs into place, and they do matter in a way for the design of what goes on what side, but the way these are made, you're not going to get those on wrong. You got the gun in the center. Now these feet you could end up putting on backwards by accident, but I think for the most part keep those long parts sticking forward and you'll be all right. And here it is all assembled, and I gotta say it's looking pretty good. Surprisingly, to me, it's taller than I expected it to be, and it stands about 12 inches tall. But I will say, I do wish it was a little bit wider. I feel like, I'm pretty sure these things were two-seaters. This guy's really only made to hold one figure in the canopy of the vehicle. But I got to say, that's obviously not too surprising considering where the line is at this time, and especially when this was made. But the sculpting and most of the detailing to it is pretty good. Looking at the head area of the vehicle, I really do like the way things look through here. You got some detailing on this front missile cannon. Some variations to the paint. I'd say it's all sculpted in this gray color. And you got this kind of this tannish gray color maybe. And then obviously you do have a little bit of dark gray painting to the what looks like eyes of the vehicles, little lenses or something. And then of course you see some black painted in throughout here and there on the vehicle. Overall though, what is painting is looking pretty good and is staying mostly within the lines. You do get a little bit here and there where that paint is oversprayed just a little bit, but that's relatively minor. Here you can see that little gray sticker of a yellow triangle. That was one of the stickers that you placed on along with the one on the other side of the head. On the back side of the vehicle where you see this yellow rectangle, once again, that is the sticker that you also applied. Unfortunately, this vehicle really only has a good side. As it rotates around, you're going to see on this left side of the vehicle, you see all the screw holes from where this thing was assembled together. And I get all these toys need to go together somehow. It's nothing new, but I do feel like in the design of vehicles in the past that Hasbro did just a little bit more to kind of hide the obvious, I suppose. In this case, it just seems like they didn't really try to make that effort. Sliding it off the turntable so you can get a look at the top side of this canopy. Here you got a little bit of black painting. Otherwise, you do have some detailing in the sculpt through the top part here. You do have two things going on. This small canopy, as it would resemble in the movie, does open up. Little bit of sculpting and detailing on the underneath here. And then, well, you're not going to slide a figure through that hole. It's just too small, not going to happen. But this does open up a little larger so you can get into the inside. And then there you can relatively easily slide your figure in through that area. He's going to sit down. You're going to be able to close the lid with no problem. But at the same time, I gotta say, I don't know what that little round canopy is going to get you because it's not tall enough to let that figure sit in any further. So he stands at about this, and it's not like he can kind of poke his head through that hole. So Yeah, so this little round part is really just for looks at that in that case. And this back area, like I said, it's not big enough. Maybe you can put some, accessories or something in there. And I don't know if you can see in there, but you got a little bit of some, sculpting, detailing in there. Obviously no special paint application, but I will say it is nice to see some sculpting in there, give it a little bit of life. Taking a look at this midsection just underneath the head of the vehicle, get some pretty decent sculpting going on for this front part here. Some lines and stuff sculpted in there. And then it's kind of hard to see right there, but on the top side of it, you do have little panel detailing, some bolts and stuff. And then as this thing rotates around to the back side, you're going to see much of the same through there. Some line sculpting, little, what looks like little bolts and stuff. But otherwise, to flip this thing back over and look underneath it, unfortunately, I mean, it's a thin plastic, so there's no kind of substance there, if you will. It's just basically it's this thin outer shell of plastic. The legs clamp in there and on the sides. So I mean, you got some detailing as if it was all filled out and solid piece of plastic or something, but it's essentially a hollow piece. Otherwise, on these outer parts of the legs and the fronts and along the back side, all of it, you get small amounts of painting here and there. Obviously nice detailing sculpted in there for panels and little gears and stuff. Also on the front of the legs, these two stickers right here are ones that you applied. But then unfortunately the insides of these legs, it's essentially hollow plastic. It's just thin. You got sculpting within there that you can see, various things as if it was all flattened out like it is on the outer side. But unfortunately it's pretty skimpy through there and really detracts from the overall look of the vehicle. I mean, you can't, if you're standing it up, it's not like you're hiding it as well as it would be hidden from this centerpiece not having anything to fill it out. So that's pretty unfortunate too, and really kind of detracts from what is otherwise a pretty decent looking vehicle. You're always going to be looking at these unfinished sides of it. Down at the feet of the vehicle, again, nice detailing like you'd kind of expect from a vehicle. And, little bit of toe painting there for the vehicle. Again, I would have loved to have seen a little bit of dirt through there. You got a little bit of yellow painting in there. It's nice to see a little bit of highlight, a little bit of variation. But in the end, to have a clean vehicle on a show where a lot of these were rolling off the assembly line, I gotta say, I'm not overly disappointed that there's not any kind of dirt wash or world, use painted in on there. Because you certainly saw the vehicles both ways in the cartoon show. As far as the articulation of the vehicle, as I mentioned, canopy opens up. The head of the vehicle, you're able to spin side to side at a pretty decent range. So, it does hit the edge of these legs here. But still, that's pretty decent. And then, of course, at the legs, you got some articulation in there. It's got a decent snap to them, so you can have it look down or something. Those clicks are pretty thick, but, if you're a kid playing and you want it to walk, you can just kind of do that on your own, I suppose. And it's still going to stand upright. And that's one thing compared to the ATST walkers that we've gotten is, those things are clunky and tend to fall over. This guy does stand up very stable, so no problem there, and that's very nice to see. Otherwise, this little front missile, there's a little notch right there at the bottom. So you just give that little button a push in, missile's going to shoot out. Otherwise, in this area, your canopies or your missile launcher is going to go up and down. It's got some nice clicks to it, but that's going to be that range there. And then you can turn it side to side. It's got these little notches, so it's going to go dead center, little to the left and little to the right. And as far as that missile, I mean, there's nothing special to the sculpting. It is plain black piece of plastic. A little line here or there sculpted in just to give it a little bit of that missile definition. But otherwise, that's it. And that's going to just slide right in there and snap into place. So I got to say, overall, I like this vehicle. I think it is pretty cool looking. I like that it has no problem standing up. As I mentioned, that is something that I've always had a problem with the ATSTs in doing that. Now, like I said, I do wish the vehicle, obviously the legs were filled out a little more instead of being so hollow on the insides of it, or you at least seeing the hollow. If it was just covered up, I don't mind that it's hollow. It doesn't need to be fully filled solid pieces of plastic. But to me, that just, seeing that makes the vehicle look cheap. But otherwise, I think this is a pretty solid release. And so that wraps up this look at the ATDP. Let me know your thoughts on this vehicle in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.